Hi there, I'm Eitan, and welcome to WiX Fixer. This is a series about creating a custom authentication experience on your WiX website using WiX code. In the previous two videos, I talked about how to create a basic sign up and login using WiX code. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a slightly larger topic, which is creating a custom change password experience. So if you're familiar with WiX, the change password experience is quite limited. And it all has to be run through WiX using an email to your members, which is sometimes branded. And you might want to create something like this where you can let users just change their password on the website itself. So, for example, take an old password and put in a new password and confirm. And Wix currently does not offer this, but using Wix code, we can kind of circumvent the Wix system and create this custom experience. I will say that this is slightly more complicated, and if you want to get this template with all the code built in and the complete user experience, then you're welcome to visit my website, and I will be offering this template for sale there. But if you want to try and understand it and do it yourself, that's what this video is for. So let's get started. Okay, so in order to create the custom change password experience, I'm going to head over to the editor, and what we're going to need to do is we are going to create a collection which will actually store our passwords in a manner that is external to Wix. Okay, so the actual authentication of our users will be handled using that collection. But it's very unsafe to store a password in a database just as is, because if somebody gains access to that information, that can compromise your users. So what we're going to be doing is using a hash, which is how Wix probably handles it in the back end as well. That's how most websites, modern websites, handle this password storage problem. So in order to get started, we're going to first create a collection using the content manager. So I'm going to head over here and I'm going to create a collection. And I'm going to call this collection Auth. And it's going to have multiple items. So let's go ahead and create that. And the first thing that you want to do always when you're creating a collection is head over to the permissions and make sure you're giving all the right permissions. So let's go over to permissions and privacy. And let's see. So anyone can view this content. That's fine. An admin can add content. So I actually want anyone to be able to add content. And that's because we are going to be adding this content when the user registers. And so if I don't set it to anyone, new users won't be able to submit to this data set, which is something that I want them to be able to do. Next, in delete content, we can leave that as admin. And for update content, then we're going to want to have site member author. Okay, so any person can update their own auth information. And let's save that. Excellent. So here we're going to have two fields. The first field is going to be email. So that's a text field, and I'm just going to call that email. And the second field is going to be a field called hash, which is also a text field. And if you're not familiar with a hash is basically a encrypted string and it's one directional. So once you have the hash, it's very hard to get to the original string that the hash was created by, but it's easy to compare a string with a hash and say, okay, is this the string that created the hash? And that's basically what we want. We want a situation where if somebody breaks into this collection and gets all the user data, they actually won't be able to log into the website because all of the authentication is going to happen in the back end. And unless they have the actual original string that created the hash, they won't be able to log in. And I'm going to get rid of this title field right after I make this email field the primary. And delete. Excellent. So our auth collection is set up. And now what we need to do is we need to head to the back end of our website and set up the backend authentication. So let's go to public and backend, and I'm going to create a new backend web module, and I'm just going to call this auth. Okay. And inside this web module, we are going to be using an npm package called bcrypt, which is going to help us create the hashes. So I'm going to head over to packages and apps, and I'm going to install packages from npm. And I'm going to look for a package called bcrypt. And where are you, bcrypt? Yeah, sorry, Wix is being a little slow today. Ah, there we go. Bcrypt. And click install. And as soon as this npm package is installed, we'll be able to check out the documentation. Excellent. And here you can see, so this is the bcrypt documentation. And you can see that there are quite a lot of people that are downloading this every week, which indicates that it is quite a good package. And it's quite common to use this for hashing. I've seen it also in some other tutorials that I've watched personally. And here, if we scroll down, we have the explanation of how to use this package. And basically, to keep things simple, salts is how many times your encryption will run. So it's going to run 10 times. The more salts you have, the more secure your password is, or hash, sorry. And plain text password is just the password itself that you're passing in to be encrypted. Okay, so basically what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to first require bcrypt, and then we are going to hash, and we pass in our password, we pass in the salt rounds, and then we get a callback function which includes the hash. And again, here we are going to be using async await, even though here they're using the callback function. Okay. And yeah, so you see here how it works with promises, and we're going to be using this async await version. This is actually for the compare, which we'll talk about later on. Okay, so let's head over back to our Wix website. And now that we installed the package, I can head back to our backend module. And I'm going to close this side panel over here. And we're going to be writing our code here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this. Yeah, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit just so you can see a little better what's going on here in the code. So if you remember, the first thing that we need to do is to require bcrypt. So let's say const bcrypt equals require bcrypt. Oops, I wrote bcrypt instead of bcrypt. Ha ha ha. Excellent. And then what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to authenticate. We're going to want to create the hashes. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a function. And I'm going to export this function. I'm going to say create hash. And then inside of this function, we're going to pass in here a password. And let's say our salt rounds will be equal to 10, just like they did. 10 is considered quite secure, if I'm not mistaken. And then what we need to do is we need to say bcrypt dot hash. Okay, and we're going to pass in our salt rounds, and we're going to pass in our password. Okay, so let's head back over to here, and we're going to say const hash equals await bcrypt dot hash, and here we're going to have our password, and we're going to have our salt rounds. And of course, we need to change this to async. Okay. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to return the hash. Okay, so once we get this hash, we're going to return it. And we can do some error handling here as well. For now, I'm going to leave it like this, just so we can see everything's working. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's create another function, which will actually store this new hash along with the email in our auth database. So I'm going to say const, let's say store hash, and that will be equal to async as well. And also going to take the password. And what we're going to do here is first we're going to say const hash equals await create hash. And here inside of this store hash, we're going to also want to have the email because we're going to be storing email password pairs. Okay, and I need to import WiX data here on top. Okay, and here what we're going to basically be doing is WiX data dot let's say save, and we're going to have the collection ID, so that's auth. And if you're not sure how to get the collection ID, then you can just go to the collection itself, head over to edit settings, and you'll see right over here that we're going to see collection ID auth. Okay, that's what you're looking for, just in case you called your collection something else. And now I have to zoom out to close this. And zoom right back in to continue showing you the demonstration. Excellent. So we have our collection, and here we're going to pass in the item to save. So let's call this hash item, let's say. And we need to define this hash item, which will actually be based on our email and our hash. So hash item equals to, and it's going to be an object. So first we have our field name. So email will be email. Oops. Email will be email, and hash will be hash. Again, I did that. Okay, and let's format all this. And here I'm going to be using async await as well. So let's say const saved item will be equal to await this. Okay, and then if saved item, then return true. Else return false. Okay, so If we have a saved item here at the end of this process, then our auth was saved correctly, and then we can return true. And basically, we're going to be storing this hash when we register new members to the website. Okay, so let's head over to our sign up page. So let's go over here, code and sign up. And basically what we want to do here, so this is all the sign up that I set up last time. So if you didn't see the previous tutorial, then you can check it out and see how to build the basic sign up. And what we're going to be doing here is when we are registering the new member, we are going to also create their auth hash. And what I'm going to do over here is right after we register the member, so if the member is registered successfully, then I am going to say const, let's go over here. So I'm going to import our create hash from backend/auth. And then right over here, I'm going to say hash created equals await create hash. And then we're going to say, what did we want to pass here? Email and password. Okay. And I might decide to move this around. So this hash created, maybe we should put this before we register the member. Yeah, I'm going to do that because I don't want to register the member unless we manage to successfully create the hash. If there's a problem creating the hash and we accidentally register the member, then we'll never be able to authenticate that member in the future using this new system. So I'm going to just put that right over here. And then I'm going to say if no hash created, and in the future, I might change this to an error, but for now, we're just going to return the function. Not readable. Oh my God. Okay. And this all looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and publish. And then head over to the live site. And we're going to run a test and just make sure that our hash is being stored and everything is working. So I'm going to head over to the website and I'm going to go to the sign up page. And I'm going to sign up using a new user. So I'm going to say test3@gmail.com. And password will be test3 and password confirmation test3. And I'm going to sign up. And member registered successfully. So theoretically, that means that we didn't return false from our hash. So that means that we should have a hash. So let's go over to our website, to the editor, and just take a look at the auth collection. So I'm going to go ahead and open the collection over here. And what we should see is that we have one person registered with email and a hash. So let's check that out. And I do not see that. Okay, so that means we have some kind of issue. And let's see if we have any errors here in the console. Okay, I don't see any errors right over here. So what I'm going to do actually is go, let me just double check the collection. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we definitely don't have any items over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just run the auth function in the backend. So I'm going to go right over here, and I'm just going to run this store hash. And I'm going to give it an email. So let's say test4@gmail.com. And this is just going to be test4. And I'm going to run that. Okay, so it was returned with true. But along the way, let's do some consoling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say console.log hash. Okay, let's see if we're getting a hash back, and let's see if we're getting back a saved item. So I'm going to say console.log saved item. Excellent. So we should get 2 logs here when we run the function. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to run it one more time. Okay, so we did get a hash. Okay, so the hashing is working, and you can see what the hash looks like here. It's kind of like an encrypted, jumbled up string that has nothing to do with our actual password. And let's see what we got here. So we did get back, yeah, we did get back an item with an ID and everything. So that's pretty weird. And I'm going to head over to the database again. Let's just check it out and see what's going on here in the collection. Okay, so we see that the backend function did store these two. And first of all, this is good because it kind of highlights an issue that we have, that we should probably check to make sure that we don't have an existing member before we create the hash. So we'll put that in now. But I have a feeling that my issue with the live site was that maybe I didn't just refresh the website after publishing, which can create that kind of issue. So first of all, let's deal with this issue and make sure that we don't have the email in there before we create the hash. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head back to auth. And so before we store hash, we're going to want to check that we don't have the hash. So let's create another function here. And I'm going to say check for hash. And this will also be an async function. And it's going to take the email. Okay, we don't need to check the password here. We just want to check to see if that email exists. So this is going to be a function, and we're going to be using WiX query. So wixdata.query, and we're going to be querying the auth collection. And we're going to be looking for an email which is equal to the email that we provided. Okay, and I'm going to use actually contains here instead of equals, just so that we cover cases where the email is not the same case. So uppercase, lowercase, we want to treat all of those emails the same, and contains will actually not be case sensitive. So that's a little better. Yeah, and the chances that somebody will have a full email address within their own email address is, I think, pretty much impossible. So we're not at risk of accidentally hitting a wrong email address in this case. And then we're just going to call .find. And all this will be equal to result. And that's await this query. Excellent. So now that we have this result, what we need to do is check and see if the items are more than 0. So let's say if result dot items dot length is bigger than 0, then we're going to return true. Okay, that means the hash does exist. Okay, and in any other situation, let's return false. Sorry, return false. Excellent. So we need to run this check for hash before we even get into starting to create the hash and whatnot. So let's do that right over here. So I'll say const hash exists equals await check for hash. And then what I'm going to say is that if hash exists, return. Okay, so we're just going to exit this function if we have this hash already. And let's give it a spin. So here we have yeah, so here we have the credentials that we used before. So this should exit. So let's run this. And it returned with undefined because we just exited the function. So this is working. And if I was to change this to test 5 and run again, then we return undefined again. That's not very good. So let's see what's going on over here. So I'm going to head back to auth. And let's see. So let's console.log result here. Console.log result. And I'm also going to console hash exists. And let's run that. So I'm going to get rid of that. And let's run it with test 5, which shouldn't exist yet. Okay, so line 27 came back null. Let's see what line 27 is. Line 27 came back null. Okay, I need to add result and result. And here as well, let's add hash exists. Okay, let's run that. Okay, so hash exists came back null, where it should be either true or false. And yeah, I didn't even. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this debugging session. As usual, it was pretty much a typo. So let's run that one more time. Get rid of that. And whoa. Okay, it said that was... okay, here we need to pass an email, right? Because here we are requiring the email for the contains. And last but not least, let's hope this is the last time. And I'm going to hit run. And voila. Okay, everything is working. And let's exit that and try that one more time. And hash exists equals true. And basically we did not create another hash. Okay, so this is all working. Excellent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish the site. And we're going to try it again in the live version. And hopefully it will work this time. So let's head back over here. And I'm going to close the console for now. I'm going to refresh the page. Log out. make sure we're logged out over here. And I'm going to refresh again just to be sure. And let's try this again. So I'm going to say test6@gmail.com and password test6 and confirm password test6. So I'm going to sign up over here. And member registered successfully, so that's nice. And let's head back to the website, check out our auth table. And it did not work. Okay, so that means we're having some kind of issue using the store hash in the front end. So let's go to the front end. And let's see how we're calling store hash and what mistakes I'm making here. So let's go, and I'm going to close this sidebar here just so we can see what's going on. And let's see, where did I call store hash? Okay. I called create hash, and I actually want to call store hash. So hash stored. Let's change this. Hash stored, store hash, and hash stored. And this is something that we need to import from the backend. So yeah, it's important to use the right functions because otherwise you won't be doing what you're trying to do. Great, so let's publish. Yeah, and I don't edit out these parts of the videos because I think it's a great learning experience. I love watching other people coding and making mistakes and figuring them out. And yeah, if you want like the clean final version that works and everything is good, that's what's going to be on my website. So you can just definitely check out the link below and just get the final version with no bugs and no nothing. But if you're learning how to code or you're doing it yourself, then this is probably good for you. Okay, so let's try the last one, test7@gmail.com. Test7 and test7. And I'm going to hit sign up. And member registered successfully. So this took a little longer because there's kind of another step going on there in the back end, which hopefully indicates that it was working. And I'm going to open the collection. And hopefully we'll see here test 7. And we have it. Yes, test 7. Okay, great. So the registration is working. And now we're actually getting to the moment of truth, which is login. And what this whole system changes is that when we log in our users, we actually won't need to provide a password to WiX. We're going to be using something called generate session token. And what this does is it's meant to be used with third-party authentication. So, if I authenticate my user via some external system and I want to tell WiX, okay, this guy is okay because I checked them out before, then we use the generate session token. And basically, we're going to be doing that just using a WiX collection. So we are going to be verifying that our user has the right password using the hashes that we created. And then we're going to tell WiX, okay, this guy gave us the right password. It matches with the hash. Let him in. And essentially, we will never need to change the original password that we gave the user when they first registered to WiX, which gives us complete flexibility about how we manage passwords on our website. And this will help us circumvent the password change issue. So let's go ahead and incorporate this generate session token. And this is something that happens in the backend, so WiX members backend. And I'm going to copy this code over. And we're going to be heading back to our auth here in the back end of our website. And let's scroll down a little bit. And I'm going to be creating a new function, and we're going to need to export this. So export const authenticate user. And essentially in here, what we're going to be doing is, oops, I should have this. There's no onReady function here. I put it inside the other function. That'll be right over here. And in here, basically, we'll be doing, oh, shoot. I hate when that happens, when you copy something and then you copy something else and then you kind of lose the copy. That's annoying. Okay, so I put that right over here. So this is going to need to be on top level. So I'm going to take that, cut that right out, and put that up here on top. And here we're basically going to generate. Okay, so they already kind of created this export function here. We don't need that, and we don't need anything like this. This is just an example of the session token that's going to come back. And here we're going to need to pass in an email, but as you see here, we don't need a password. So basically, we're just authenticating the user using their email. But before we do that, we are going to want to double check that this is actually the correct user using the hash. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say const verify hash. Okay, so we want to verify that the hash is correct. And the names of these functions, you can name them whatever you want. I'm kind of just making them up on the spot, but it should have something to do with what's happening in the function. So here we're verifying that's the correct hash. And the way that we do that is we're going to need the email and the password. Okay, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to use this bcrypt compare. So go right here. So basically what bcrypt compare does is it takes the password, it takes a hash, and it returns true if it's true, if the hash matches. So let's go over here, and basically we're going to say const is match. And again, using async await here equals await bcrypt dot compare. And here we're going to have the password and the hash. Okay, and this is going to be async, as is this function going to be async eventually. And what we need is the hash. So we're going to need to do a query on our data. So let's do const result equals await Wix query, Wix data.query, sorry. And we're going to be querying the auth collection with a capital A. And we're going to be looking for an email that is equal to the email that we provided. But again, I'm going to use contains just to make it not case sensitive. And email dot find. And then if the result dot items dot length is bigger than 0, we're going to run this. And we're going to check if the hash is equal to, so let's say const hash equal to results dot items dot 0. We should only be getting one of those back, hash. And then we're going to return is match. And this should be true if it's a match and false if it is not a match. So we're going to say here const verified equals await verify hash. And here we're going to need the email and the password. So that means that we do need the password here. In addition to the email, but we're not passing it to the generate session token. We're just using it for our own purposes to do the validation. So password, excellent. So verified. So if not verified, return. Okay, and this is basically the guard clause that is guarding our entire website. And it will not generate a session token if the person does not provide the correct password. So it's quite important that this works correctly. And yeah, so then what we return is the session token. I'm just going to leave this as is. I know I was changing everything to async await, but for this one, I'm just going to leave it as is. So basically, yeah, if this is verified, then what we're going to do is we're going to generate a session token. And this token we are going to use in the front end of our website. So let's head over to our login page. Go to login. And so here what we have now currently is logging in a member using the standard authentication.login. But actually what we're going to be doing, I'm going to comment this out. And we're going to be creating a new login system that will log them in based on the authenticate user. So let's say const session token is equal to, we have to import that from the backend. So let's import authenticate user backend /auth. And make sure to close that. And then this will be equal to await authenticate user, and we need to pass in the email and the password. So basically this should return a session token if the email and the password are correct. And then once we have the session token, we have to use something called on the WiX members front end in authentication, apply session token. There it is. And basically what this does is it takes that session token from the back end and it says, okay, use this session token for this session and the user will be logged in. So let's copy that and I'm going to put that right over there. And I'm going to format that. Okay, yeah, and basically if the member is logged in, then we're going to console.log member is logged in, and let's also show our success message. So I'm going to copy this right over. Copy this over, and put that right under there. And format that. Okay, so this should be enough in order to log in our members. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and publish. And okay, that's great. And now what I'm going to do is head over to the live site. And what we can do here is try and log in using, let's say, test 7, which we already know has a hash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh. And I'm going to log out because I was previously logged in as test 7. Hit log out one more time. And I'm going to go to the login page. And first I'm going to try a user that doesn't exist. Okay, so I'm going to try logging in using wrong credentials. So let's say I say test7@gmail.com, but I use the wrong password. Let's say test9. So let's see what happens. Okay, nothing's happening here visually. Let's check what happens in the console. should be getting some errors thrown there. And again, in the final template of this, we'll be handling all those errors correctly, and we will display all of the correct error messages. Yeah, so we have here an unquote in promise. Oh, internal server error. That's not what I was expecting. Let's try hitting that one more time. Okay, so we have some kind of error here. And let's see what happens if we use the correct password. So I'm going to go here into test7, and let's try logging in. And we have user logged in successfully. Okay, so you can see here, and remember, here I logged in a user using the session token, essentially using our own authentication that we set up in the auth collection. So now if I tell the auth collection, okay, this user changed their password, I changed their hash, then they'll be able to use that new password to log in and circumvent the WiX system. So let's set that up. So what I'm going to go and do is we're going to create the change password in the backend first. So let's head over back to our website and back to auth. And here we're going to be creating another function that's essentially going to change our password. So I'm going to say export const change password. And this is going to be async, and it's going to take a few things. It's going to take email, it's going to take an old password, and it's going to take a new password. And only if I spell password correctly. Old password, new password. Okay, and this is a function. Scroll down a bit. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to verify that this user's old password is correct. And we can do that using our verify hash function, which you already have. So let's say const verified equals await verify hash email old password. Okay, and if not verified, we're going to return. Okay, so first we're checking to see did they get their old password correct. This is just kind of like a precaution. Usually you would safeguard the page where you change the password so that if a person isn't logged in, they wouldn't be able to access it anyways, but it's just kind of an extra protection that you often see on websites. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to change to the new password. So first thing we need to do is create a new hash. So we're going to be using create hash, okay, for the new password. So const new hash equals await create hash for new password. And then we just need to update the collection with this new password. So I'm going to say const result equals await WiX data dot query, and we're going to be querying the auth collection, and we are going to be looking for a item which the field email is equal to the email that we're dealing with, and we're going to find that. Okay, so now we should get back the the original item that we're going to be updating, and let's say const auth item will be equal to result items 0. And then we're going to do an update. So I'm going to say WiX data update, and we need the collection ID, so that's auth, and then we need to pass in the item, which is going to be auth item, But before we pass in the item, we are going to actually update the fields. So I'm going to say auth item dot hash is equal to new hash. Okay, and so this auth item will already have our email in that item, and we're not changing that. We're just changing this to the new hash, and we're updating it. And basically, we can store this update item in a variable. Updated auth item equals to await, and if updated auth item, return true. Okay, so if we have a new updated auth item, then we'll return true, and that will tell us that we have successfully updated our password. And let's head over to the front end. So I'm going to go to our change password page. And here we don't have anything yet. And we're going to create a new function. We're going to call it change password. So const change password. And here we're going to need our, so I'm just going to give you a look at what this page looks like just to remind you. So we have here old password and we have new password, and then we just have a confirm button. And now we're just linking kind of the backend function that we wrote to this. So let's say old password will be equal to I think I called it old password. Let's see, yeah, old password value. And new password will be equal to the same equals this input value, new password value. And we need the email. And the email we're going to be getting from the member because that's if we're only going to be in this situation if a member is logged in. And we need to make sure that these emails are also the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import current member from WiX members. And this, I'm going to change this to an async function. And I'm going to say const member is equal to await dot, not await dot, await current member dot get member, I think it is, yeah. And what we need from this member is their email, which if I'm not mistaken is called login email, but I'm going to double check that. So let's go to current member and get member and login email. Okay, so this is how you double check and see that you're getting the right stuff and that you're using the right, keys and parameters and stuff like that. So here we're going to say const email is equal to member.login email. Excellent. And now we just need to import our change password function from the backend, from backend auth. And let's just run that. So we're going to say const password changed equals equals await change password. Now we need to pass the email. Oh wow. Email, old password, and new password. And this expected 0 arguments but got 3. Let's go back to auth and see what's going on here. Change password. There's 3 arguments here. Why do you expect 0 arguments? Let me just make sure I copied this word correctly. Let's copy this. Change password. Oh, okay. Okay, it just took some time for the error to go away. And let's say if password changed, then we'll show our success message. So success message dot text equals password changed successfully. And then we're going to show that text. Show. And else we're going to show our error message. So I'm going to copy this over actually, just save some time, and change these 2 to error message. And this one as well. And this will be, there was an error. And again, I'm just doing a very simple error message just because I want to finish up with this video because it's been quite long already. Expression of void cannot be tested for truthiness. So what I'm going to do here is just say else return false. And that should solve that issue because we were only returning in the case that we had true, and then otherwise this would be void. And now we're good. Okay, so this should change our passwords. And let's publish the website. And what I'm going to be doing is now that I am logged in here as test 7, and you can see that by the fact that I have the log out over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our password change page. So change password. And first I'm going to use an incorrect old password. So I'm going to go test 9, and the new password will be test 8. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to head over here and do confirm. And we should get back the error message. Let's head over and inspect. So I'm going to go to the console. Okay, so I don't see, okay, rookie mistake. Let's head over back to the site. And I didn't link the function to our button. So we need to add an event listener for our submit button. I'll click and change password. Okay, that should deal with that. And publish again. Yeah, so when you're recording and on WiX at the same time, it kind of fries your computer because both things are things that take up a lot of CPU. And that's why publishing is taking a very long time here. But luckily, you get to hear me talk a little bit. And maybe that's interesting for you. Feel free to take this time. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's head over back to our website. I'm going to refresh just to make sure we're using the newest version. And okay, great. So let's test this again. So I'm going to use again a password that's incorrect and just some random password, doesn't matter. So let's confirm that. And still nothing is happening. Let me refresh one more time just to make sure that we are actually using the newest published version. And test 9, let's say, and some other new password. And still not working. Okay, that could have to do with the error that it was showing me before over here. So let's see. Okay, so after doing some debugging, I figured out the problem. And the problem was that I accidentally called the backend function change password and the front end function change password. So here it actually thinks that I'm calling the front end function where I'm actually trying to call the backend function. So what I'm going to go do is change the backend function to change hash instead of change password, which is actually kind of what we're doing. And then here in the front end, I'm going to import change hash and change this to change hash. And that got rid of all of our errors, hopefully. And I'm going to format that and publish. And then I'm going to go ahead to our live site and just refresh to make sure that we have the newest version of our site working here. And I have the console open here on the side just in case, which apparently the Loom cannot go into, which is interesting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try again. So I'm going to try first a wrong password and a new password, a random one, and click confirm. And password changed successfully. That is not what is supposed to happen. So let's go back to our website and let's console.log what comes back from password change. So console.log password change. Okay. And I'm going to publish that. And then let's head right back over here and test that out one more time. So again, I'm just going to do a random old password, a random new password, and click confirm. And click confirm. And we got back undefined and password changed successfully. So I'm going to add in, I'm going to add our guard clause back in. So I'm going to say here, if password changed, then we'll show the success message. Okay, and else we're going to show our error message. And this should deal with that situation. Format all that. Excellent. So let's publish that and head back over to the live site. Refresh. And try some random old password, some random new password. Click confirm. And there was an error, okay, because we didn't use the right password. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the correct password. So let's refresh. And I'm going to say, okay, test7, which is the correct password. And I'm going to make a new password, which will be test 7 new. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. And there was an error. Okay, so let's head back to the back end of our. What I'm going to do is I want to confirm that I didn't accidentally change the password before somehow. So I'm going to log out and I'm going to create a completely new user. So let's go over to the sign up page. And I'm going to create a completely new user. So let's say test10. I don't think it'll be at test10 yet, gmail.com. And the password will be test10. And the password will be test10. And sign up. Okay, so member registered successfully. And we're also logged in. So I'm going to go over and change password. And then our old password is test10. And our new password will be test10 new. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. And there was still an error. Okay, so let's see. We did not get back anything from our password changed. So that means that there was probably an error with the compare function. And in order to see what the error was, we're going to have to go into our logs. So I'm going to go here into developer tools. And I'm going to go into site logs. And I'm going to open this up. So here we should be able to see any errors that come back from our backend. And I'm just going to go over here back to the live site. And I'm going to click confirm one more time. And hopefully we will see something here in the backend. Okay, so the current user does not have permissions to update on the auth collection. And why is that? We should be able to update if we are the user that created. So let's just double check that all of our permissions are in order for the auth collection. So I'm going to open up the, oh, I could have just done privacy, and let's go over here. And let's check out more actions, permissions, and privacy. Anyone can add content, site member, author, a signed-in user who added content to this collection. So that should be the user. Let me just double check something. So let's go over here and let's see who the owners are of all these. So let's expose the owner field here and take a look. So, okay, so I see that some of these have the same owner, which means that it's likely that this owner is not linked directly to the member who set up this field, which is what we want. So in order for this kind of privacy to work, and this kind of security setting, we need this owner to be unique, and we need this owner to be the member that that created this item, essentially. And I think I have a hunch as to why this is happening. So if you remember inside of our sign up, I'm going to go right over here. I was kind of debating about where to put the hash stored function. And I decided to put it before the registration, but actually it seems like for reasons of security, I need to put it inside of the registration, because essentially at this point, when I'm creating the hash, we don't have a member yet. So WiX is just giving it a certain random ID for the owner based on whatever criteria they have to decide, which I'm actually not sure what that is. Probably something linked to the session, because you saw that some were similar, so it had to do something with the session, I'm guessing. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this hash stored into after we have a member. And what that should do is essentially link the auth item to that specific member, and then they will have the necessary permissions to edit and update that item. So let's publish this. And head back to our live site. And what I'm going to be doing, I need to go through the whole entire flow again to make sure that we have a new member that's using kind of the new thing that I just set up. So I'm going to refresh the website as well, just to, no, I do not want to upgrade this site to a premium site. I do want to refresh, and I'm going to head to the sign up page. So I'm going to go right here and go to sign up. And let's just do this one as test11@gmail.com and password test11 and confirm password test11, sign up. Sign up. Okay, member registered successfully. The error came because I pressed the sign up button twice in a row. It might be worth kind of disabling the sign up button after it's clicked once until that promise is resolved, but that will exist in the actual template, but not in this demonstration. And now I'm going to head to change password. And let's try changing the password. So the old password is test11, and the new password will be test11new. And I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. And now password was changed successfully. Okay, so that little change of where we create the hash really changed how the permissions are used in our collection, and then whether or not we can access and update the password /hash. Okay, so now we have a new password, and what I want to do is demonstrate that it's actually working. So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to go to the login page. And here on the login page, so first I'm going to use my old password to try and log in. So that would be test11. So let's try test11 and log in, and we have an error. Okay, the error message didn't display, but I'm not logged into the website. And if I try test11 new, which is our new password, and I try to log in, then I'm logged in successfully. So essentially what you're seeing here is that we are completely circumventing the need for the original WiX password that the user used, and we're circumventing the need for WiX's change password system where it sends an email and it's not very customized. And you can create a completely customized change password experience using this create session token and apply session token, just like I showed you. I know this was a very long video. And again, if you want to take a look at all the final code, which includes what's in this video, but it'll also include some more additions and clarifications and error handling and stuff like that, then you're welcome to head over to my website and check out the template. We still have one more video in this series, which will be about resetting a password. So when a person completely forgets their password, how to reset it. And that will complete this series. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.